HDTV in association with Absolute Warehouse Services. Colin, welcome to Huddersfield Town.
Thanks very much.
You arrive at the club as assistant head coach with over 30 years coaching experience. Just talk us through your story from your playing career and your progression into coaching.
I'll try and do it as briefly as I can. Obviously, I played for Leicester as a young pro for 5 years and then was released. Had an offer from Germany, so I went over to Germany, made a career there playing first team football, second, third and fourth divisions, which obviously was for me a really good move. And then during that time I was always coaching as well. I did my coaching badges, coaching underage teams. And then when I was 29 I had an offer to go as a fourth division manager to Koblenz. Then I did my pro license just a year after my first season. And just stayed obviously in the coaching now. So it really has been 30 years since I started. After the 7.5 years at Koblenz, went then to FC Colin in the Bundesliga as assistant manager, and then just diverse stations. I went to Dynamo Dresden, one of the top clubs from the east part of Germany, then as head coach, and then Waldorf Mannheim, second Bundesliga as assistant coach, and then spent 5 years at Mainz 05 with Jürgen Klopp. Klopper was then the head coach and I was doing the under-23s, but we worked very closely together. You know, we trained at the same time, so it was a really good relationship that was built up and a lot of success as well. And eventually then in 2006 I went back then to TuS Koblenz, who were then in the second division, second Bundesliga, as academy director. Built up an academy which was really difficult actually. But I think the biggest, we had a lot of success with my underage teams, under-19s were champions, under-23s were champions after that. But I think the biggest success in that phase, that was 5 years, that we were able to bring 5 players into the first team in the second Bundesliga, but all of them were from the region Koblenz. So, had a great time there. And then 2011, went into the women's game, which I didn't expect. And I didn't expect to stay in so long, and that was in Bad Neuenahr. Then I went to FFC Frankfurt. We had a lot of success then together. We won the German FA Cup and the Champions League, and then I had a year in Norway, qualified with that club for the Champions League. Went shortly back to Germany, and then I really at that time, 2017, got my dream job as a national team coach of the Republic of Ireland. And spent 2.5 years in an absolute fantastic environment with some really brilliant people. And then obviously Jan Sievert turned up.
Just what I was going to lead on to actually. Where did you get to know Jan essentially? Whereabouts in your career did you touch on?
Jan is from the area of Koblenz, and in 2007, actual fact, my under-19 team at that stage were also heavily involved with the representative side from that area of Rhineland, and they were invited to Italy to play a tournament. So over half of my squad were in that team. So I was invited to travel just to, basically keep an eye on my own boys. And Jan was the assistant coach of that team, and that's how we got to know each other. And then we worked then closely together a few months later. With the first team then at TuS Koblenz in the second Bundesliga doing the video analysis, and then I brought Jan in to work with me very closely then with the under-23s, and so basically I think that I was able to spot a really talented coach, and we became friends. He did a great job for me. He moved on then to the association, made a career for himself, was very successful with underage teams and for Germany. And then he decided to leave that maybe security of football association and go into, or federation I should say, and go into professional football as a head coach. So that's how we got to know each other, and obviously over the years we've just remained friends.
You say you've been friends over the number of years. What are the sort of key strengths that jump out about Jan as a coach?
First of all, Jan is a very talented coach, a very intelligent guy, understands football, understands how football works. Is a good teacher, explains very clearly, he knows what he wants. I think that's really important for players. Players these days need to know, they want to know more, and they'll ask. When I was playing, of course we wanted to know things, but basically you just get on with it. You'd listen and you'd get on with it. In this day and age that doesn't work. Players want to know, they need to be things need to be explained. At times even maybe doubts need to be taken out. And I think that's only possible when you really have good arguments for the things that you're trying to do. And that's Jan's way to work. He's a good communicator and knows what he wants. So that means also you have to be at times resilient and yeah, you have to have a little bit of a ruthless streak in there as well, because you want to win matches. So I think also he's another important aspect of Jan's work, and that impresses me, of course. He has a big heart. Yeah, so we're all focused, we want to win games, but you have to remain a human being in doing all that, and he can do that.
You speak very highly of him there, but when you first got the call the other week to come and join us at Huddersfield Town, what were your thoughts?
Well, obviously I was, I have to say as it was, I was very, very surprised and very pleased. I'm going into a stage now of my career where, I'm going towards the end in that end phase, basically, and I'll be 58 in August. So, I probably have another 20 years before I quit. But, seriously, I'm going into that end phase. So for me, I thought, coming back to England, playing, or being able to coach for a championship team, or maybe even a Premier League team, I thought maybe that chance had gone. So I was very, very surprised and pleased. On the other hand, it was very, very difficult because, like I just stated, I've had a brilliant time in Ireland. Some fantastic young girls that have been playing for me. We've built something. The team is now ready to go into the Euros, and I'm convinced that they'll qualify. So for me, it was a big, question to answer. Do I give up what I've been working for the last 2.5 years, or do I take this big chance? And obviously, Jan was really heavily involved in that, and convinced me this is the thing to go for.
There's a lot of different kinds of assistant head coaches around in the game, and you've worked at one of the highest levels in Germany at FC Colin. What, in your opinion, makes a good assistant coach?
I think you obviously need to be able to connect between the head coach and the players. The communication is really, really important. So I have to be, I think, in this role, because obviously it can differ from club to club and from head coach to head coach. Jan doesn't want an assistant coach that just puts the cones out and then takes them away again. He's brought me in to be able to coach, to assist him, to be onto the pitch, to create training sessions, to work together, of course, with the team, with Mark, who I experienced now the first week, has been brilliant. I really, really admire that guy. Then Clem, then as a goalkeeper coach. So, we've got to get to know each other, but we have to be a team then. So my role is, again, that connection within our coaching staff, with all the other people that are involved, but with the team mainly on the pitch. And obviously in the game analysis, the opponent's analysis. So it's going to be it's a major task. But I see myself as that middleman between the head coach and the team. And I obviously have to build up that trust first. And the players have to get used to a new voice. They have to get used to the way I work and the way I conduct myself and address things. And we're still in that process, of course. So there's a little bit of, what's he like? Maybe a little bit, I wouldn't say nervous, but, maybe at the moment, still a little bit of a distance. But I'm trying to break that down, and, that's my part as well, just to be a good communicator and a good supporter for the players, because I coach always player-centred. The players are the most important people, but we have to get them, obviously, to a level where they can perform to their highest ability.
I mean, you're coming to a club that's had quite a strong German contingent over the last couple of years, and you're in quite an interesting bracket in that you went out into Germany to do all your coaching qualifications. I think you were the first to do that as well.
Yep.
What makes it so special, and why are they creating so many great managers and coaches in Germany?
I think, first of all, it's the German culture. They're looking for perfection all the time. They're very dedicated. Another trait of the Germans is that if something does go wrong, and maybe failure, you get knocked out of a tournament, or like, for example, last year in the Champions League, like Bayern Munich didn't really, do as well as maybe they expect to do. They will take a time out, they will reflect, and they'll come back even stronger. So you've got that element as well, looking for perfection, never wanting to give up, a pride and a little bit of arrogance as well, but I mean that in a positive way. It's not like a complacent kind of arrogance. And the expectation to win matches. So you're working off that template all the time. And so for Jan and myself coming in here, and it was definitely, I would imagine, the same for David, you come in and obviously you want to get a rapport with the players, you want to obviously get a good connection to the players, but you expect to win matches and you expect them to be successful. In that, you have to have, again, good arguments and a good plan and good strategy to be able to be successful. And the players just need to buy into that. If they buy into it now 100% here, we'll be successful.
We're going into the next season in the Sky Bet Championship. How much have you followed the Championship and how much do you know about Huddersfield at all coming into the job?
Well, Huddersfield, to be honest with you, I had never been to Huddersfield before. But when I was growing up as a kid, I was obviously interested in football and followed football very, very closely. So one of my heroes, even as a little kid, was Bill Shankly. And I know that obviously Bill Shankly was here. Another one of my player heroes was Dennis Law. So obviously Dennis played here as well. I was a big follower of Manchester City because of my name. Colin Bell was my hero when I was growing up as a young kid. And then when I went down to Leicester City in 1977, it seems such a long time ago, Frank Worthington was at Leicester. And Frank Worthington was he was the hero of that team and a brilliant guy, brilliant player, very flamboyant. I was able to clean his boots, which I was very proud of. And Frank used to bring after every few weeks or a few months, he used to bring his old gear that he wouldn't wear anymore and just give it to the young lads. Obviously if you're the right size and stuff. And he had such a good connection, to younger players. I obviously knew that he was a legend here as well. And, again, the last few years following more the Premier League, and obviously when David came in, all of a sudden, Huddersfield, David Wagner's gone to Huddersfield. I know David, not really well, but know him because obviously he also played in Mainz, where I played, where Jurgen Klopp played. So you take notice straight away and just follow what's going on. And obviously the sensation of getting promotion and then the even maybe greater sensation of staying in. So that was my perspective and perception of Huddersfield. And it obviously then intensified and increased when Jan got the job in January. And obviously then I became a secret Huddersfield fan, to be honest with you.
So Jan's obviously brought yourself in. There was a new contract for Mark Hudson yesterday and adding to the mix head of goalkeeping Paul Clements. Yeah. How do you feel about the team that Jan started to assemble going into the next season?
The coaching team or the actual
The
squad?
Coaching team.
I think, that's my job, of course, to gel with the guys. Like I just said, I think Mark is doing a great job. He's very, he's an intelligent guy. He knows what Jan wants. Obviously, he had a great career and was a leader. So I think these qualities, he needs now to mature as also then in that coaching role. And if I can do a little bit to assist him and help him, I definitely will. And I think we just, at the moment, it seems that we have a good rapport with each other. So we need to live that as well because it's important for the players. It's important for the players that they have role models. What I don't like is lip service. So you can, you want something or you expect something from your squad and your team, but can't live it yourself in the staff. That won't happen. We'll try and be as good as we can be. And if we do make a mistake, then it's okay. That was mine. Let's learn from that, reflect on that. I think that's so important as well that players realise that they are able, to make mistakes and just get on with it. We don't want to dwell on your mistake because football, that's the way football works. So we have to create that environment within the team, within the squad. And what I hope that I can bring in as well is another portion of positivity. After being relegated, there was always a cloud over the club when you've gone down. And we have to get rid of that. And it is tough and it is hard work. And again, you can say all the cliches and use all the cliches that you want, but you will not, if you want to be successful in whatever you do, but definitely in football, you can't get around working hard. Yeah, you have to get really stuck in, and we have to have a dedication on the pitch that we are prepared then to run longer, faster than anybody else. So that's easier said than done. And that's when it comes down then to the mentality of every single individual player. And we have to set the standard, and it's up to the players to reach that standard. But for one thing is for sure, we will not drop our own standards. That's a fact.
Exciting times ahead. Thanks for joining us, Colin.
Thanks very much. Thank you.